This is a response to a Dan Brown video called World War III. Find a link right here. What his video was about is the possibility of Iran and Israel starting or sparking World War III. Let me get you caught up to where we are now. After World War II, a new country was founded called Israel, and it had a massive Jewish population. But the place where they put it was not the best. It's completely surrounded by countries like Iran and Iraq, which are mainly Muslim populations. Not the best place to put that kind of country. Anyway, for the past 20 to 30 years, there has been escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. Supposedly, Israel has nuclear weapons. We're not sure, the US is not sure about that. But we do know that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. It's close to, and it's still working very furiously on that. But it does not. Israel, on the other hand, they might have nuclear weapons. We're not sure about that. They won't tell us. Why won't they tell us? But Israel has had enough with Iran. They hate Iran. Almost everybody does. And they want to attack. They know that Iran also hates Israel, and that if Iran were to build up this nuclear weapons and facility, they would destroy Israel. Israel knows that will happen if Iran were to get nuclear weapons. They're trying to prevent that. Israel is doing everything they can to prevent that. They have told us that since Iran is getting closer and closer to these weapons, that they're going to attack Iran. Israel is going to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities where they are working on a nuclear bomb. That is bad. That is terrible. That could have bad consequences because the US is friends with Israel. Iran is friends with Russia and trades with China, which isn't all that important, but still it's a possibility that if Israel were to attack Iran and destroy most, if not all, of their nuclear facilities, Iran is going to go all out on Israel. Iran is going to go all out on Israel. And just, the countries are going to go to war, and it's going to be bad nuclear war possibility. And because the U.S. is friends with Israel, we're going to go over and help them. And because Russia is friends with Iran, they're going to come down and help them. U.S. will be fighting Russia, Israel will be fighting Iran. China might come over and help them because Iran and China trade. And then China's in all this. The possibility of World War III. It is a possibility, but not a lightly one. Think about it this way. The U.S. is the world's biggest consumer, and China is the world's biggest producer. If these two countries, us and China, were to go to war with each other and all this mess, it would destroy, it wouldn't destroy, but it would heavily damage the world economy. Just severely. Sprite. And because of that, we don't think that, even China, I don't think they would do something like this. We and China would not go to war with each other over this. So what would we do? I mean, if China is friends with Iran and would go over and help them defeat Israel, we would have to come over and help Israel. And that would cause a war between us and China. World War III. But would we do it? Would we attack China? I don't think so. But think about it this way. What if we were to only send troops over to Israel to help them that way? What if we were to not attack China directly, or Russia for that matter? I've been leaving Russia out of this conversation. What if we were to not attack them directly? Just send troops over to Israel, help Israel that way. Send them supplies too. We need to help them with that. Just don't attack China or Russia or Iran, because if you attack Iran directly, then Russia and China will get mad. Just don't attack them directly. If Israel attacks Iran and Iran attacks them and they go to war, Russia, China will come and help Iran, and the U.S. will send troops over to Israel and supplies. That's what we need to do as a final resort. At any cost, at any way, try to prevent that war between Israel and Iran. But as a worst case scenario, do not attack Iran, China, or Russia directly. And if you do that, that will hopefully prevent Russia or China attacking us directly. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.